Hey, everyone. Welcome. It's Isaiah. And this is another iteration or another episode of my podcast, Isaiah's Inspiring Evenings. Welcome. So, tonight I'm discussing in one of the series of my podcast called Deckiverse Diaries. And that is one of the series where I talk with people. And tonight I'm talking with the amazing Dora Rodrigues. And we're talking about, in general, about cards. But, the Deckiverse Diaries series is a collaboration between the Deckiverse Congress, which is not happening in 2024, but will happen in 2025. And it's all about deck creators, deck ideas, card stories, and all the amazing things that one can imagine with cards, whether they're physical or digital. Now, tonight, as I was saying, I'm discussing with Dora. Hey, Dora.
Hi, nice
and
to be here.
and before we go into the topic of this tonight's episode, which is a big one for me, it's we decided to name it Art Heals. So it can go in many directions, and we have a few ideas, but you never know. But before we go into that, I would like to present a little bit Dora. And the best way I know how to do that is to read her bio. So, one of Dora's biggest superpowers is her creative energy. She has been drawing and painting as far back as she can remember. However, it was at the tender age of 12 years old that Dora's psychic abilities started to manifest themselves and eventually merge with her love of art. In her early 30s, she was led by goddess Isis to begin her spiritual teacher journey. She then reawakened her shaman and priestess lineage and developed multiple healing modalities such as soul pattern, Lemurian Lightwave, Isis Light Priestess, and shamanic paintings, all of which she teaches her clients. So, healing art is a powerful, energetic, and intuitive tool Dora uses daily. She has created many oracle card decks for herself and others out of her own personal artwork. Nowadays, Dora guides women to create the life they desire and activate their spiritual gifts. She is additionally passionate about helping women heal their bodies through energy healing and mindset work. Big stuff. So you are the never-ending creative. I love
Yes.
that. I love that. I so recognize myself. This thing where one idea leads to the other one and it never stops, right?
Oh, yes.
So, what do you mean by art heals? What is, you know, um, is it the doing of the art or the watching the art or the interacting with the art? Which part is healing or are they all?
All three of those. So
Mm,
I have clients who have immense joy in watching me create artwork because sometimes I do actually show up in my Facebook groups and I channel art for those who are watching, or I actually also offer group calls where I do that. But in addition to that, just me creating a piece of art for someone, I mean, there's nothing that I can't do with a piece of art, whether it's heal an organ or release trauma, release an emotion for you through that means. And simply gazing at a piece of art is incredibly powerful, especially if you do it daily.
hmm So, is that what you call shamanic painting or
Shamanic
shamanic
painting,
art?
yes, so shamanic painting is what I call my modality, if you
hmm
wish. I was born with this gift. So it's the best name that I have for it because um, when I create a piece of art now, it is an immersive experience for me. I am journeying to the elemental realms, to the goddess herself, to different planes of realities, to Lemuria, to Atlantis. Uh, and I bring back that medicine into our world through
hmm
visual means.
I love that. So it's kind of a I don't like to say mixture, but a blending, let's call it, of pure art and pure healing, and you kind of and that is shamanic painting. Is
Yes.
yeah, is it something that you, so you said this is a gift that you've been having for all your life. Do you teach that for others? Is it possible to learn it, or is it just your thing?
Yeah, so what I do is I attune a healer to the modality, and they are able to channel artwork for themselves as well as for their clients.
Awesome. So how did you name that, or discover that, or decide that this was going to be one of your things?
Oh my
How did
goodness.
it happen in your life?
It's beautiful to think about it because it's a beautiful memory for me, but
Oh, I love that.
it was back in early 2015. I had just quit my corporate job months before because ISIS beautifully led me out of that. And I simply tapped into the joy of creating a landscape of the Azores Islands. So I had found a photo that I liked of the Azores Islands. And I was just painting away, and I was listening to Pink Floyd because I like to listen to that band, especially when I'm channeling artwork, because listening to music really helps me go into trance. At the time, I didn't know that, of course, because it was the first time. And suddenly, I had the most intense clairvoyant vision of my grandparents, who are both deceased, uh, just experiencing a moment there on the island long before I was born. And I tapped into that, and it was a very strong clairvoyant moment as I was painting this landscape. And that was the first time that I realized that I could combine my gifts together.
I love that. I love that. So you kind of had a vision, let's call it this way, of something that was in the painting without it being in the on the painting, obviously. But I love
Yes.
that. And how has this shamanic painting impacted your life? I mean, from then on, what, it became your thing?
It wasn't immediate. It wasn't immediate. It took me a good 6, 7 months to really be bashed on the head by spirit to do this. I didn't really understand it that so soon, but it was after being bashed on the head multiple times, I eventually tried to create a painting for someone else. Just tried. I tried this on the friend, and I just created a piece of art that was representative of her soul. That was my intention
Mm,
with the painting. That was it. So I created this painting for her, and I could see that there was some healing energy. I could sense that there was like some healing in it. I didn't quite understand the depths of it, but I sensed, I gave this painting to my friend, and within 3 months, she conceived her child, and she had PCOS at the time. So it was very difficult for her to conceive,
mm,
but she conceived her child months later. So that's when I started to kind of say, hey, wait a minute, I can do something with this.
mm.
Uh, that was the first time I ever created a painting for someone. So,
Awesome. That's a beautiful story. I love that. How's the baby? Well, not a baby anymore.
oh no, she's beautiful. I think she's like 8 years old or 9 years old right now.
Wow. Yeah. And so from then on, you started doing that for yourself or for other people mostly, or both?
I'm a blend of both. So I was doing it for clients, and I was doing it for myself as well. And I mean, it was basically both things at the same time. I mean, for me, uh, I know that the first time I painted for myself, like really intensely painted for myself, I released layers of bullying that I had experienced throughout my teen years, as well as lots of overwhelm emotions. I remember that. And it's quite an intense experience for me to either paint for myself or for a client, because especially in the beginning, now it's a lot more tame, I have to say. After you do a lot of healing, you just kind of get used to it. But in the beginning, I mean, I was bawling my eyes out. Like I had tears flowing down my face as I was painting. And I would sometimes even hit the canvas, and I would really get very passionate as I would be painting. And I'm just losing the track of my thoughts here. But um,
No, my
yeah,
question was did you start by working on yourself or on other people or with
it
other
was both
people?
at the same
Mm,
time. Yeah, it
mm,
was both at the
mm.
same time. I was just kind of exploring. that first year was a time of exploration. It was a time of, oh my goodness, I can do this, and oh my goodness, I can go there, and I can go talk to the mermaids, and oh my goodness, and I was given so many beautiful, amazing gifts through my paintings. It was definitely because I was painting daily, and I was like painting physically daily, and I was just, it's hard to put into words the magic that would come through my artwork. It it was a sense of awe,
Mm.
just awe. No matter if I was working on myself or just working without a goal, just going in with an open heart and just letting it out. Such a beautiful, deep experience, especially when you're open-minded about it.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna be very artistic about this, and discuss technicalities. So, do you work with oil paints, acrylics, watercolors, crayons, whatever, or do you have,
So in the beginning, I started with acrylic paint on canvas. And then as I was painting a lot, I kind of was running out of room. So I switched to like 9 by 12 watercolor paper for my medium. And I was also using gouache paints.
Mm.
And then it kind of evolved. I eventually got like watercolor markers as well, and I have dabbled a little bit with pastel and with crayons, but mainly, and what's stayed tried and true is the acrylic paint. I have to say that 90% of the time that's what I use, and if I can help it, and I will stick to canvas. If not, I use my 9 by 12s, and I have like thousands and thousands of 9 by 12s lying around. So eventually, though, I did invest in an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil, and that completely changed my life. And so
Oh,
now I think I paint 90% digital and then 10% physical just for space issues.
I love the space issues. As an artist myself, I understand that very, very clearly. Um, the and now, how can I push the walls? Uh, so, if you work for somebody or with somebody, do you give them the painting? Do you keep the painting? Is the painting is owning the painting part of the healing, or it doesn't matter?
If I am painting on a physical canvas for someone, it gets shipped to their door.
Mm?
However, if it's a digital painting that I'm creating, I send them the high resolution
Yeah.
JPEG, which they can print out at home or
Mm.
just keep on their mobile phone, just have it as a phone background to be able to accept the healing on a daily basis.
Yeah, because the if I hear you, having the healing painting or the shamanic painting in my house or on my phone and watching it is still the healing is still going on, right?
Yeah,
It's
so basically, yeah, having a physical canvas in your home is like having a 24/7 healer at your disposal.
I love that.
Yeah.
And are they um sorry, abstract, your paintings, or are they do they represent something, or do you?
It's a blend. I would say that most of the time it is energetic portals that I am channeling. However, many times the dragons are will show up. The dragon fae will show up in my paintings on a, like, in as a physical representation, or
Mm-hmm.
fairies will show up. Mermaids are quite present, especially when I'm working with emotional issues. You will see mermaid tails quite frequently within the vortexes. However, I have been known that when I am channeling something for a particular client that may not be very in tune with elemental energy, I may inadvertently, I've done this before, I've channeled their childhood bedroom down to the curtain color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I can imagine that. But you're not planning on drawing something specific, on, kind of, I'm going to go and draw a tree because that would be a healing thing. You're just allowing for whatever wants to come to come.
90% of the time, I have no idea what's about to come through. On occasion, I have a vague idea I see a visual, like I do have a clairvoyant vision of more or less what it is meant to look like. However, the less I know, the better.
I love that.
Yeah,
The trust on spirit. But
yeah,
they know better.
exactly.
And so, what benefits would you say are there in using healing art as a tool for healing, as opposed to an energy healing or an audio recording or meditation or something different? What
Okay.
is the perks of healing art?
Well, first of all, for someone who is dealing with an intense trauma and has a hard time expressing themselves around it or verbalizing their issues,
Mm-hmm.
uh, doing it through a visual form is ideal for that situation. However, for those clients who may just feel visual, who take pleasure in artwork, in visual, in colors, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and in shapes and seeing, and sometimes seeing is believing, I find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that visual is a nice confirmation that the healing is being sent in some way,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to speaking. Um, there was something else that I wanted to mention with that, and what was it? Um,
So,
oh yes, of course. There's layers. So the painting will keep working even long after. And I mean, yes, you could go and listen to a meditation and just listen to it over and over again. But there's another dimension to just having that painting visually there for you and just available, and just it's a lot faster. That's the other thing I want to say. Actually, it's much faster to receive healing from a piece of art than from an audio, and I will fight on that.
I love that.
Because
I
there's
love
more,
that.
yeah, there's more, I'd say there's more energy to receive from a physical custom canvas than from a session from me. I believe
Mm,
that.
mm. And there is also a thing that it's still there. If it's on my wall or on my phone, it's still there. Whereas a meditation, I have to, or an energy healing, even if it's recorded, I have to make a conscious choice to go and re-listen to it or re-put myself in. Whereas the canvas is there on my wall. I'm just seeing behind you. For the people who are not seeing the video, this is also a video. So behind you, I can see a piece of art, and it's been drawing my eye. So I know that something is there for me, and I can, as for however many minutes we're going to be discussing, this thing is talking to me at this minute. So I can imagine very nicely if I had it or another piece in my place. It never stops doing its work.
Yes,
um,
yes, it'll keep giving you what you need.
Also, we are wired to be visual people, right? In our Western, very modern world, eyes are all over the place, screens and everything. So if we can utilize this visual um, overwhelm with overwhelming our eyes with healing art, this is amazing. I love it. I love it. What else was I going to ask? I don't remember. Yeah, how did you go from doing art, healing art, or shamanic painting to let me create a few decks or an oracle deck, at least the first one?
Uh, I would, I'll be honest and say that it was requested of me several times.
Oh, I love that.
I have a lot of clients and a lot of just people who are like, why don't you create some oracle cards? Like, they would just be really, really great. And eventually, I discovered some tools that would allow me to do that. And just for reference, I was a graphic designer and web designer before I did
Mm-hmm.
doing this full time. So I had the experience of creating printed, I guess, just different kinds of printed
Yeah.
material,
Mm-hmm.
like magazines and postcards and such like that. So I had that experience behind me and knowing how that works. Um, and one day I just decided, okay, I'm going to just put this together, but I didn't do it in a very traditional way. I have my own way of doing this.
Tell me.
Okay. So instead of going about and saying, hey, I have these 44 subjects for my oracle cards, and I'm going to go and channel 44 different pieces of artwork. That would be the logical thing to do, but not with me. What I did is at that point, had probably about 600 pieces of artwork. And I looked at every single artwork and I said, okay, this is going to be that card, this is going to be that card, and this is going to be that card. So I did the opposite. So I went and I took the painting and I made it that subject. And that created magic. My first oracle deck that I did, it's just called the Pintadora Healing Oracle cards. It's still my favorite, and it's a very gentle oracle card deck. It's not one of those blunt oracle cards, the ones that are like, call
Mhm.
on your bullshit. Use the language. It's a very gentle oracle card, and what's beautiful is that it's not only giving you messages, it's also sending you healing, but just by you looking at the images. So
I love that, but I do love the way you went through it. So you had an idea on what are the topics, that you had 44 topics, and instead of doing new paintings, you kind of used the ones that were already there. I love that. I think it doesn't, it means that you were also able to see what was in there in a new eye, and that means that these paintings were, how can I put this, rich enough to bear this new meaning. And that means that if I get the deck, I can find different meanings as well, because they are layered enough. They don't just answer to one prompt. I
absolutely,
love that.
absolutely, yes.
I love that. Ooh. What's the format? Are they square or rectangular or?
Well, this particular deck is a rectangle horizontal, not horizontal, vertical format.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
They
it's a traditional tarot size, actually.
and when you said you had some experience, does that mean that you printed them, self-printed them? How do you say that? Or sorry, just to remind everyone, English is not my first language. It's actually my third language. Sometimes I get confused. I mean, you did not go through a traditional publishing house to do that. You just went on and printed them.
Yeah, I actually use a print-on-demand
Mm-hmm.
service. So I just basically formatted my files to the format that
Mm-hmm.
the printer was requiring me to have. So it was
Awesome.
fairly simple.
And so people can actually still buy those decks. I forgot to mention that earlier on. So please, sorry, you will find everything about Dora below or above the video or the audio, whether you're watching this. So you'll find all the links to her website, also to the social media. And I'm sure you will find the links to the decks as well. If you're listening to us and you're not watching and you don't have any images to accompany this, please click on the links, go and have images, go and get some visual healing just by watching the images, and then purchase the decks, because this is what we're talking about, or even more, get a session. So, why did you say earlier that it's deeper with a piece of art than it's, with a regular just conversation with you?
Oh my goodness. It it's just it's felt, it's the feeling. It's really comes down to the feeling and the emotion, and there's nothing more heartfelt. And I've never, even in a session, I have never felt more connected to source than when I am channeling a piece of art. It's the closest that I have been to oneness. Plain and simple. I think that's
Yeah.
how I can word
I hear
it.
I hear you. We magic people, we don't need more explanation than that. What you're saying, in other words, I think, is that it bypasses the mind completely.
Yes.
You're not thinking rationally about whatever you're talking about. You're not rationally trying to heal somebody. You're just allowing for spirit, source, whatever, the universe, whatever you want to call it, to just go through you and to do the healing.
Yes, there's a place for everything though, because I mean, I have, like 3 or 4 modalities that are based off of words and scripts.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sacred scriptures that I've channeled from Sophia, the Sophia Christ. So there's a place for everything. It's just that when it's through artwork, it's just so multi-layered, and you can just see everything. And there's always, and I always tell my client this, I don't know everything about this painting. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so much. I mean, there's things that I'm painting and it doesn't make any sense to me. And then my client looks at it and is in shock because I painted like whatever thing that happened to them when they were 5 years old. And
Mm-hmm.
they, you know, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I love the idea that you don't know what you're painting.
exactly.
That it's basically 100% allowing whatever needs to be painted to be painted.
Mhm.
And then for whoever receives the painting, whether it's yourself or other people, to then go and have a look at it, a good look, and see what's
Yeah.
coming through.
Yeah. And there's really a place for both
Mm,
techniques. It's just that when it's something that I really want to get out of my own mind, and when I feel like my client needs to get out of their own thoughts, I find that it's always a little bit better to use.
mm. I love that. I love that. There is so much of our world that is stuck into words,
Mhm.
and bypassing them uh,
Yeah.
can be sometimes very, very useful, I believe. So, yeah. And so what else? What else did I want to ask you? So you created that first oracle deck as per general request. Let's put it this way, and then you kept going. How did you then decide to do another one, or was it
Yes,
then? Oh,
actually, I at the time, and I am open to doing this still every now and then, but I opened up a slot to create an oracle card deck for a client.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and in that instance, I actually did channel all, I don't remember how many it was, if it was like 50 or 60 artworks. I did channel them all for this client. So that was, I think, the second time I had created an oracle card deck. And from there, basically, it's spirit that tells me what to create. Spirit
mm,
tells me what subject and what artworks and what they're called. They'll automatically tell me. I'm very much clear audience, so I will hear when I look at the artwork, this is what it's going to be.
mm-hmm. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And then we have this, question that I'm going to, because I'm this blunt person, so I ask the blunt questions. You mentioned earlier, very earlier, that it can be healing on various levels. Let's put it this way. So we're talking about emotional healing. We're talking about physical healing. What kind of, where does this stop, or if it does?
My goodness. So emotional is a big one with me. But physical, I mean, well, I've helped women conceive children. I have helped them remove physical issues. I have worked with a little bit with cancer patients, and I have worked a little bit with just other issues in the body. Um, and even for myself, I mean, I've kept myself free of these issues for quite a few years through the artwork, um, trauma removal, and I even do DNA activations in my artwork as well. I can activate elemental wings for those who resonate with elemental energy. So, fairy wings, angel wings, dragon fae wings, as well as even activating for those who have mermaid energy, their mermaid tails. I can go and clear chakras with my artwork. So, I have developed very technical
Mm-hmm.
or specific things to heal. So, I can go in and just be like, okay, I'm going to go and, clear this from the sacral chakra, for
Mm-hmm.
instance. So I can do that as well. And I even offer a product that is called a higher self portrait, in which I do all of these things. It's all very multi-layered, and I go and I channel your higher self as she appears to me. This is for women. So I will see you as a bit of an elemental looking being, sometimes of starseed attributes, but usually humanoid, in which I am activating DNA. I am receiving messages from your higher self, and even removing just stagnant energy from your energy field, and clearing and just rebalancing your chakras, and even channeling some light codes in there as such as well. So it's a very multi-layered offering. Yeah.
I love that. And how long does it take?
It's fairly quick. I have to say that spirit likes to download this energy to me in the speed of light all at once, which isn't always a great thing. Not always pleasant, but I have channeled pieces of art in 30 seconds flat, but sometimes I'll go like a half hour. And in fact, when I'm doing the higher self portraits, they do take a little bit longer, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
like up to 45 minutes. Uh, it really depends on how fast the energy is flowing through me.
Mm. Yeah. And sometimes the information comes too fast, and it's like,
Yes.
cool off your horse's spirit. I only have two
Yeah.
hands. That's,
Yeah.
at least that's what happens for me. So I'm guessing, sometimes they think that we are multi-handed, but no. I forgot to ask, were you classically or traditionally trained as an artist before all that?
Yeah, so actually, I have how do you say that in English? A college diploma in illustration and design. So I am
Hmm.
trained formally in that, and as well as I do have a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have formally trained as an artist, yes.
Not only are you channeling, but on top of that, you're an artist. um, and did it come as a surprise that that all this channeling could be happening with art or through art? Because that's why I was asking if you're trained. It's not to check if you're good enough. I was asking whether it came as a shock, or these two parts of your world, how did they mix, or how did they encounter each other?
It was a complete surprise. It was out of left field. I would have never imagined, not in my wildest dreams, even though it was there in plain sight from a young age, because I remember uh, oh my goodness. Yeah, there's quite a few incidents actually from my youth. I want to mention one, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and it's not something I've ever mentioned before. Uh, and I went to a friend's house one time, and they were coloring with their crayons. And I wanted to join in and just draw with them. And I went and I took the black crayon and I just scribbled all over the page. I was not coloring in it was a coloring book, so I wasn't coloring in the lines or anything. I was just smashing that coloring book with the black lines. And I look back and I'm like, you know what? I would have done that if I were clearing somebody's energy field of entities or something.
Yeah, that
The
makes
first.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have quite a few instances where I've done that as a child. I have this other instance where for a family member, I channeled I'm saying channel. I mean channel, but I actually didn't mean to say that. But they're
Yeah.
telling me to say
Hmm.
that. I channeled a portrait of them with a halo over their head and wings, and I said, "Look, it's you as an angel." And the person, oh, actually, no, I said, "You look, it's you in heaven. It's you in heaven."
Hmm.
And that person was completely shocked.
I'm guessing. Yeah, that makes sense. It's so interesting that sometimes things that happen in our youth, we don't understand them until much later. Um, so yeah, and while you were training, do you have similar memories of things happening?
You mean while I was in school, in art school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, just because I was forced to
Color
pursue
in the
art.
lines.
Yeah, I was forced to pursue art in a very rigid, in a very masculine way.
Mm-hmm.
And since I was so much in a state of doing and pleasing, and the conception, the rendering side of art,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was educated to use my intuitive abilities and uh, my natural urges to
Mm-hmm.
just put paint on a canvas. It wasn't something that I was encouraged to do ever. It was
Yeah.
all,
Mm.
first you do a thumbnail and then you do a sketch, and then after you do the sketch, then you do the sketch again on your canvas, and then you have to go in with a wash. That's the
Mm-hmm.
way that they trained you to do
Yeah.
artwork in these
Mm-hmm.
programs. So
Organized.
it was very, very organized, definitely. Um, but if I had known what I know today, I think I would have aced the whole program.
I love that. Yeah.
That was basically the
Obviously.
worst one. I practically failed art
Mm.
because I was terrible at it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I had like there was like students in my class who would spend like 70 hours on a piece of art, and it was like the most impeccable, beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I, like, barely passing.
Mm. Yeah, but maybe that painting that took 70 hours was empty, as in
Hmm.
empty of energy and empty of, picture perfect, as we say, is not, for me at least, it's not the way that art should be judged.
Yes.
Whether it's perfect it is irrelevant to whether it's touching me somewhere. And I'm not even talking about healing art, just art in general. For me, the
Yes.
main thing is, how do I get impacted by this piece of art?
Yes.
And whether it's drawn with a stupid crayon or with very expensive fine oils is irrelevant to
Hmm.
how impacted I am by it.
Yes.
And very, very expensive, very 70-hour paintings can be completely empty, to me at
Yes.
least.
Definitely.
Now, you mentioned also that there is a possibility for me or for anyone to learn this process and then use it for themselves. How does
Yes.
this work?
So I offer either the class through a self-study, in which you uh, get the attunement and get the explanations, as well as you just create the homework in your own time, and you can actually share this homework in a private practitioner Facebook group,
Mm.
and then I can look at it and give you some feedback. Or you can actually schedule or book a package with me. There's several levels to shamanic painting, but the basic level is a 3 call training with me, in which we practice together.
And it's about, if I'm hearing you correctly, empowering your clients to own this self healing possibility or ability.
Yes, it's so simple. Like, especially the first level of shamanic painting, it's such a simple modality. It doesn't require any artistic skill. It just, I find that the the biggest block that I see with my students is just their ego around, like, how pretty their art is. Because if they can get out of that mindset of wanting to create beautiful art, and they can create massive miracles.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We haven't discussed that, but I want to ask more questions now. So you're with me believing that beautiful, it does not make a piece of art?
Absolutely not, because the beauty and the most beautiful paintings that I've ever done have been from a place of detachment and a place of pure channeling, because the beauty comes from spirit. The beauty is spirit. It's source, not me, not my
Mm.
skill.
Yeah, I agree so much that, there's again so much empty art. Very beautiful, but empty.
Yes.
um, and yeah, I love that. And I love that you present all the shamanic painting ideas as something that can be taught and learned. That it's not, your own particular talent that only you or some geniuses can go. I love that art, whether it's healing art or not, can be something to be practiced.
Yes, yes, and it's just such a powerful tool. It's the most beautiful self-healing tool that I could possibly recommend because it's something that you can use every day and that doesn't require you thinking about your beliefs, thinking about your blocks, thinking about whatever else you feel that is in the way of your success. And it's just about surrender and allowing.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Because we never discussed that, you are in Canada, right?
Yes.
Just so you know. And do you do anything in person, or is everything online?
Well, I do on occasion have not very many, but like one or two local clients in Montreal, and I'm more than happy to discuss ways where I can work in person as well. I've actually trained one of my practitioners in person before, and I've had group calls where I have like a local client who, I told her, listen, if you just want to come over, you're more than welcome to just come over during the call and it'll be fine.
But you don't run retreats for some reason. I feel called to ask that. As in, a group of people getting together, getting activated, and off we go painting.
Well, I do that on demand. So if I have a demand for it, if there's like a small group
Mm.
of 3 or 4 women who would like to coordinate something with me, I'm available for that.
Oh, I
Yes.
love that. I love that. Now, you also mentioned at some point during the preparation of this podcast that it can also be a tool that helps in our business. So, as a business person, I want to know.
Well, since I haven't mentioned this part of the shamanic painting, when it comes to business, Uh, I actually like to incorporate my modality soul pattern, and quickly,
Be
I'll
my
just
guest.
very
Absolutely.
quickly mention that. So, soul pattern is a tapestry of your soul. It is a component, much like a Akashic record, in which I can go and access anything about my client with permission, obviously. And through this, so we have unlimited, so many different patterns. Like anything that you can think of, any thought, any word that you can think of is a pattern. Okay. For instance, the business pattern. So, what I often like to do is tap into the business pattern, and particularly one of my best selling offers is money stitches. Well, a money stitch is a particular piece of art that is a process. It's an actual process that I do in which I am stitching together your money situation with a goal, obviously. Like, let's say you are looking to make your first 5K month, and I will go and stitch in the exact process and the exact pattern that you need to create your 5K month.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
So you're kind of creating the pathway.
Yes, yes. And I'm receiving guidance that will allow you to reach your goal if you do the work, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just make sure that there is no magic happening outside of me being there and actually doing the work. Obviously, I love that. So, um, we've talked for a long time, and maybe you do want to mention something different than just the shamanic painting. So, if you want to share other modals, I'm open to that. You mentioned soul pattern. Uh, and you mentioned earlier on, because I define myself as living a goddess life, I want to know everything about your goddess modality. So
Oh,
can you tell me a little bit?
okay. So, well, Isis Light Priestess. So, um, that one I've had for a couple of years, and I mean, it's a script-based modality, basically. So it's very much an activate, like my practitioners are activated as priestesses of Isis. It's generally women who have lifetimes as Egyptian priestesses, often they will be the ones to be drawn to this
Hmm.
modality. It's a small modality. It's not very big compared to my other ones, but I like to use it for, because Isis and money, Isis and money. He's really great with that. So I her for money issues in there, and I like to work with her as well for health issues. I have several temples that there's like temples that you can access through the modality, like health temple, money temple, love temple. Um, Osiris will come into play with it as well. There's DNA activations that are done in Isis Light Priestess. Uh, Blueprints, access to different downloading blueprints as well. So it's a small modality, but it packs a punch. I quite like using
Yeah.
it.
I love
Uh,
that you have such an array of modals. It's like they are all going into one direction, but they also make sense together, if I'm hearing correctly.
yeah, so I will incorporate different ones during calls, but I will go with what my client resonates with the most. In
Hmm.
fact, I get a lot of requests for Lemurian Lightwave. I mean, my practitioners, they're always waiting for the next upgrade of Lemurian Lightwave. I don't know, but they're constantly asking me, so when is it coming out? So when is it coming out? And I have clients who specifically ask me for me to use Lemurian Lightwave on them. It's like a thing. I just it's been mind blowing. The Lemurian Lightwave is a modality I created as an incarnated queen of Lemuria. Um, and it's a kind of it's an energetic method of delivering energy, basically. That's what
Mm.
it it's a method of delivering energy into your body. And again, there are several DNA activations. There's beautiful manifesting tools like a reality integration to help you manifest a desire. There's beautiful allergy healing in it. There's journeying to my own Lemurian temple filled with magic. There's always something beautiful and exciting that happens in that temple. Always, always, always. You get to work with Lemurian dragons and Lemurian mermaids as well with the modality. It's quite complete. I'd say it's large, but not as large as Soul Pattern. Soul Pattern is the big monster modality, but Lemurian Lightwave is like second to that. And it's quite complete as a modality. So it's a good turnkey for a new healer, I'd say.
And at this minute, would you consider, do you think, do you believe that the modals that you have been channeling are complete, or are there new ones popping into your universe?
Oh, there's always new stuff coming in for all of them. Soul Pattern is the most complete, I would say, because there's a basic level and an advanced level, and then I just kind of add little bits and pieces to the advanced, or tweak things in the basic level.
Hmm.
And if you're attuned to the basic level, you actually get to take a mermaid healing pop up, or a fairy healing pop up, or even a Soul Pattern Gold pop up for golden age energy. So there's a lot to play with in Soul Pattern.
And um, do you believe again that you will be channeling new modals, or that's it?
Oh yeah, so as for new modalities, it's very there's a few potential new ones that may come out, but nothing concrete at the moment that's completely ready. But there's a possibility for at least a few more to come out. Definitely, I'm always playing with new energies.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been very, very interesting, very eye opening regarding art in my little artistic world and the decks. Oh, we didn't mention how many decks you have now.
Oh my goodness. Let me count them actually. Let's see. Oh,
You mentioned you had them around you, so I'm daring to ask.
I have 6 of them that are actually physical or digital that you can get digitally. So 6 in that format. And then I have one more that is my Divine Feminine Scriptures deck that is purely digital at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, dear listener, if you want to know more and to get in touch with Dora Rodrigues, you will have to find her links below or above the video, or the audio, whichever you're listening or looking at, and go and have a good look at in her website. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got all your links. Yes, I do have all your links. I'm checking that as we talk, and I'm going to share them with under the podcast. So, and if you want to, buy the decks, get sessions, get activated in one of those amazing modals, if you feel your mermaid tail is sticking out of your pants or your wings are going out of your ears, maybe it's time to meet Dora. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I loved it. Next time we have something else. I don't know yet because it's not ready. And yeah, thank you so much, Dora. I really hope that we get to meet again, maybe through the next iteration of the Deckiverse Summit, where we talk about more decks. And yeah, thank you so much. That was really enlightening.
You're so very welcome, and thank you so much for inviting me here. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the both of us, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.